Hello, everyone. We are live yet again, and this will be one of my authors' chats of the week. And as always, I'll let this platform kind of start notifying people that I am up and running. And I'll meanwhile keep my eye out for my co host this week. And we'll be talking about books, writing, publishing, and everything in between. Maybe a little loud. Sorry. Let's see if she sees the invite. There we go. Things rocking, rolling in just a moment. Hello!
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Perfect. Well, welcome. I'm so glad we got to get together and connect and be able to talk about books. And I don't know if you've ever listened to any of my lives before. They're pretty conversational. If anybody
Perfect.
in the feed kind of jumps in with a question or comment that's bookish related, I usually try to point that out. Depending on, I think, how people join the live, I may or may not see them all. So you're welcome to note anything on your side that I haven't, because I just may not be able to see that. And then outside of that, pretty casual. I'll let you introduce yourself and what you write first, and then we'll go from there.
Perfect. Well, hi, I am Bria Rose and I write dark romantasy, specifically fairy tale retellings.
I love that. Now, how many books or short stories or works have you written at this point?
Well, there's currently one that is published, and I am currently working on two simultaneously, and I don't
Ooh.
recommend it. But on top of that, I'm also was working really hard at the same time on the audiobook of the one that is currently published. So it's kind of like three works that it's
Wow.
just, I'm like, oh, okay, burnout is real. Make
Yes.
sure to do one project at a time. My goodness.
No, I'm definitely a person that I'm always juggling multiple works at once. And again, I always tell everybody I don't recommend it either. I do it, but it's not necessarily fun.
Chaos.
And there's definitely going to be moments where you feel a little overwhelmed, or maybe feeling like you bit off more than you can chew, as they say, because yeah, juggling can be hard.
Oh my God, can't it though? It's just it's kind of wild. 'Cause I tell myself, you can do it. You're gonna be fine. You'll be fine. And then you get to it and you're like, oh, maybe I'm not fine. Maybe this was a little crazy.
Yes, and then like I mean, for you, if you're working on your second slash third work simultaneously with your first audiobook release, I mean, you're still early on in your whole writing journey, and then that's a
Yeah.
lot to take on right off the bat. So I applaud you. But I definitely understand how that can be a struggle. But let's double back for a second and tell me a little bit about your first book. What is the title? What is it about? You said you do these kind of dark romance based retellings of fairy tales. So is it based on any particular fairy tale?
Yeah, I actually have two of, so I, ooh,
Don't and
sorry.
tell.
Um, I have two versions. This is the original. So this is
Yeah.
the one that I had made. So actually there's technically three because there's really pretty edges on this
Oh
one, and not
yeah.
all of them have really pretty edges. So this is the original. Then we have pretty edges, and then a month into my writing journey, I was like messaging, I'll get into like what it's about, but I was like messaging all the like 30 plus book subscription boxes. I'm like, hi,
Mm-hmm.
I think I have a pretty good story. I don't, my editor likes it, and a couple beta readers liked it. And so they actually picked it up, and this is what they came up with.
Ooh.
Yeah, so there's limited, and it sold out like in 25 minutes, like 800 copies. So
Wow.
crazy. Very honored. But so as you can see, it's a, not as you can see, but kind of, especially based on this. This is a dark romantasy, dark romance. Why choose Beauty and the Beast retelling?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you see the cover, you're like, oh, the Beast portrait. So if you know Beauty and the Beast, then you're gonna be like, ah, right
Yep.
in your face. So this is a dark romance. Why choose Beauty and the Beast retelling with a twist, where Belle's the Beast, Beast and Gaston are brothers who get trapped in her castle. Chaos ensues. It is definitely spicy, 18 plus. Though I will say I've had a couple under 18. I think the youngest that has like told me she's buying my book, like I'm buying it, is 13.
Cool.
But the whole family, it was a whole family affair. They actually came specifically to see me and for her to meet me and buy my books. So I'm just like,
Oh, wow.
you know what? Mom and dad and brother are there. Like, I'm not going to tell you no. They're like, oh yeah, she's read our Haunting Adeline. I'm like, oh, then my book's fine. My book is perfectly fine. It's not as crazy as our Haunting Adeline. But I changed the retelling. So
Hmm.
I
I love
took
it.
out the magical creatures and I added a couple new characters and of course it is why choose. So we
Hmm.
got a couple brothers in there and then we have a I call he's like, oh, I love him, Callum. He's our simp character. He's obsessed. He's kind of like the mama bear of the group. He just wants everyone to be happy and get along, and he is obsessive in like a, I'll do anything you say. You want me to jump off this parapet? Like I'll do that. So
Fun.
we love that for him.
Yeah. No, that is a fun way to approach a retelling. Whenever I've talked to various people who do retellings, especially those who do the fairy tale based retellings, it's always interesting to me, like how everybody can take one story or one story. If you really deep dive in fairy tales, not all of them have one true story, but this idea of this one story that we may have been, brought up with and been told or seen the Disney version over and over again, and then how everybody can take that story and remake it in wildly different ways is really fascinating.
I am obsessed. Like, I'm all behind me. I have so
Mm-hmm.
many books that are like double stacked. I have no extra room to put them. But I have collected some like Beauty and the Beast retellings because, Beauty and the Beast is my love. I am absolutely obsessed. And if I could show, I can't show you right now, but I've made it into my personality.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Like there's so many out there, but each one is can be so different and unique.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and that's why I think people who love these type of stories will read them and read another and read another because they each of them offer something that's familiar in a way they really want that they're craving, but also again refreshes it in new ways. So I kind of do myth-based retelling, so I understand that to an extent too
Okay.
of like taking something that has been told before hundreds to hundreds thousands of years ago depending on the culture, and then refreshing it in a different way. So I love that. I absolutely do. What made you decide to one day sit down and say, I'm going to retell Beauty and the Beast?
It's kind of so crazy how it came about. A ex-friend and I started writing a book in high school. I have to kind of mention her because she was a part of the original story. And she's like, "Hey, I don't got time. I can't." I'm like, "Okay, well, I already wrote our book. Like I spent 3 months writing like the rough draft. But that's okay. That's okay. You do your thing. Let's come back to it later. But I've already been bitten by the bug.
Uh-huh.
So I need to write something. I was actually in the shower when the ballroom scene entered my mind. I'm like, oh my God, which is so funny because I actually ended up taking it out and now something
Mhm.
else has replaced itself. But it's just kind of funny how it inspired an entire book. Like I did this. It's kind of crazy. I just sat down, I just kept writing, and I really don't think it would be as much and as big as it is without my editor who really helps me of like, okay, this is kind of how it goes. Your characters are great, story's great, but how about we give more dimension? And so she
Good.
kind of
Yeah,
guided
yeah.
me into like storytelling, and that's kind of how it came about. I kind of put it down, picked it back up, put it down, picked it back up, and then like the original story.
Hmm.
And then when I finally told myself, no, no, you're doing this, then it just was like whoosh of ideas.
Yes, I feel like that, especially that initial creative spark for a lot of people, it is one of those things that when it occurs, it's hard to say no to because it's just such a powerful force that for a lot of writers, we just then almost like compelled to tell the story, whatever that
Thank
story
you.
is.
Hmm.
So, how
Love
did
that.
you connect with your editor? Because I know I go to now a number of live events, sitting on panels, moderating panels, and that's a question, especially when it comes to any panels pertaining to publishing, is where do people find editors? So how did you connect with yours? And especially, it sounds like you have a really good relationship with your editor.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with her. She probably is kind of like, okay, Bria, we can calm down a little bit. But I'm like, no, we're gonna be best friends. And
Yes.
but I found her on Fiverr. I'm kind of obsessed with
I love
Fiverr, and
that.
I kind of go there. And I just got really lucky because I have had some instances where I'm like, oh, this isn't really what I'm looking for. So I
Hmm.
think I just found my not diamond in the rough because there are a lot
Hmm.
of really talented people on Fiverr, but there's a lot of like scam, it's
Yes,
just
there
you
is.
kind of have to pick and choose, exactly who. There's people, especially, you know, people who like understand your like language, like there are people in like other,
Hmm.
places and it's you gotta get in there.
Yes,
You gotta get
yes.
in there. You gotta be a little picky. But I just feel like I just got really lucky, and I'm like, you know what? I'm liking your vibes. Let's go for it. And she edited it, and then she was like, hey, if you want to continue working together, kind of like, you know, I'm like office. I'm like, yeah, please. So now we have our own thing, like off of Fiverr, because I mean, you go there to meet people, and then you kind of do
Yeah,
your own thing.
of course.
But that's how I found her. Fiverr, incredible. I love her, and I just got incredibly lucky.
Yeah, it's because that's one of those things that platform, as you kind of describe it, the diamond in the rough, you can find those, but you often have to search through a lot of either kind of the spammy, the scammy, the not so
Mhm.
talented, the people who don't really know what they're doing or claim that they do,
Yeah.
etc., so on. And you do have to dig a lot sometimes on that platform. I was fortunate because one of my cover designers came through there, but it's definitely a platform that when someone's like, "What about Fiverr?" I'm like, "Okay, here's the honest truth. You will
Be
probably
careful.
have to test around and poke around, depending on what you're looking for, to find the right person if you're using that one." So I definitely get that. But your cover design from because I know you have the special edition, the limited run, and then
Yeah.
the your initial cover, and your initial cover is one that I first saw of yours. Since I started kind of seeing you pop up on my feed, and I absolutely love that cover because, like you said, it definitely gives that kind of dark vibes. It does kind of reflect to the story, the Beauty and the Beast, and that famous kind of scratching through the
Yeah.
portraiture. So it does nod back to that so well. How did you figure out that cover? Like, did you work with someone? Did you design it yourself? Because that is a stunning cover. You're welcome to show it up again.
Amal, it's so good. Thank you so much. I so I was kind of like scrolling through. I'm like, okay, what kind of cover do I want? I don't
Mm-hmm.
want not. I'm not gonna say basic because our stunning covers out there, but a lot of them look the same nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted some, like the names, a court of blank and blank, of blank
Mm-hmm.
and blank, a crown of blank, so there's a lot of very similar things, and I needed something to stand out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think my editor was like, hey, I think I've used this person, like reach out, see if it's going to be a fit. And at first she was kind of like, oh, I don't think she really saw like the vision. But I'm like, no, no, here is inspiration because I found one that was similar to mine. But when I saw it, I'm like, oh my God, the beast portrait. The beast portrait, of course,
Yes.
that's what we're gonna go through. So I'm like, I want a woman, and I like scratched out exactly like beast portrait. I was
Mm-hmm.
very hands-on with the whole process because to me, people like don't judge a book by its cover. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
The first thing you judge is a book by its cover. So, I went through a lot of like fonts because I didn't want
Mm-hmm.
anything that was, oh God, Regency, nothing
Yeah.
too, so I did. I actually approved it and then came back to her. I'm like, no, 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 actually, I don't like that. I lied. I don't like that font. Can we please change it? I actually even bought it,
Yeah.
Evato.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what the site's called, just so I could go like spent like 7 hours going through fonts so she didn't have to and chose the one that I liked. So it was a very hands-on process. She was
Mm-hmm.
very nice and very patient with me, especially this being my first book. Um, but it's always rough drafts are always crazy. So the
Yeah.
first rough draft was like, oh, we both had two very different representations of what I sent, and then we started kind of messing with it, and then we came up with what it is today, and it's just, I love it so much. I'm obsessed.
Well, you should be because if you don't like the cover, then how are you gonna like use that with pride to sell your book? But it is one of those sad truths. You don't want to judge a book by its cover because the interior is what matters. The story is what matters. Yet we are just inherently a visual species. Covers
We
either catch
are.
our eye or they don't, and if they don't, we usually move right along. Unless someone else gives the book a raving review, and then you're like, oh yeah, I'll give it a try. But for
Exactly.
sellability purposes, you really do want one of those stunning covers that does pull the right readership to it. So know your audience, and yours works very well.
Yay,
So
thank you.
with your other projects, because you have the audiobook for this, and then two other works on the way at various stages, can you let me know a little bit about what you're working on, or is it all kind of like a super secret at this point?
One of them is a super secret, but I can
Okay.
kind of share a little bit, and the other one is not a super secret, and I'm telling everybody. Um, so real quick about the audiobook, that one is currently out for pre-order with Jacob
Ooh.
Morgan as the male narrator and Grace Noble as the female narrator, and she is absolutely divine. I found her on ACX.
Mhm.
For those who don't know, that is the Amazon's Audible,
Mhm.
right? ACX Audible. That's
Yes.
kind of like their platforms, like where we find narrators and such. Uh, I I got so lucky with her because it's a duet, so she has all the female voices and she also does the he said, she said,
Hmm.
those parts. And I think there is a scene where there's like four female characters, and you can tell exactly who is talking. She doesn't even have to say, Cersei said this, Calathea said that. I'm like, no, no, no. I can clearly hear exactly who is who. And
That
I
is
was like,
fantastic.
Grace, you blew me away, and I need everybody to know about this girl because she's absolutely incredible. Um, but kind of going into like the next project, there's two happening at the same time. So Pinocchio. So I'm writing a spicy Pinocchio retelling
Okay.
where he is a bleep doll. It's TikTok, so I
Hmm.
want to be careful. So he's a bleep
Hmm.
doll who gets sold to a high profile couple.
Interesting.
It is a healthy throuple situation.
Hmm.
It is kinky positive. So, I want to be careful with words.
Yeah, I know
Try not to be crazy.
it's always
And
a
I'm
bit
like,
tough,
wait.
but
Ugh. So it is that bleep positive,
hmm.
and it has like secrets, a secret society, a secret in general, like a big secret.
Hmm.
And it kind of goes into oh God, what are they called? Like robots, like robots, like robot movies and everything. And
Yes.
like, do they have feelings? Do they not? It kind of goes into a
Are
little
they
bit of that.
self-aware and hmm.
Yeah, and but it's not sci-fi. It is like romantasy because there is a distinction. I don't write sci-fi books. I wouldn't even know where to begin with that.
Yeah.
But so that is that book, and that one I actually have it titled, it's called Made for Us, and it is
Ooh.
so good because he was made for them. I'm like, oh my God, that is such a perfect like name.
Hmm.
Names matter so much to me. So like Her Dark Promise took forever. I'm like, Mom, looking at her again. She took forever to figure out, and but I knew from the beginning like For Beauty is Found Within is the tagline. The
Hmm.
title took a hot second, but I wanted it to do with the secret or not but the promise. Uh, but I just didn't know. So that took a hot second. The Pinocchio one though, that
Hmm.
kind of came pretty quickly. And because the moment it clicked, I'm like, oh no, that's it.
Yep.
We're full stop. That's it. And then my author journey has been just so crazy.
That's fun.
I published it is a lot of fun. It's a lot of stress, but it's, I swear it's fun. It's fun stress. But I published this one, Her Dark Promise, last Halloween. So we're almost coming up on a full year of being published.
Wow.
And I know, thank you. Like I said, 30 days after I got the email saying, oh, this sounds cool. Send us the book. We'll see if it fits with the company. So the company, Probably Smut, was the one who took this on and helped, do
Nice.
this.
Mm-hmm.
And so 2 months, they're like, nope, we want it. We want this book. So there we go. Of course, that takes a few months to kind of get the process going.
Yep.
Uh, but then in February, I got asked to join a Zoom with a company, and I signed on with them. One More Chapter. Have you heard of it?
No, I don't think I know that one yet.
Have you heard of the Cinnabon Cafe or the Pumpkin Spice Cafe? The book, The Pumpkin Spice Cafe.
That one sounds a little more familiar, but on the other hand, because it's fall, I've been hearing a lot of people's books who have kind of that similar vibe in the title popping up, so I don't know for sure.
Okay, so they're the ones who published that, and they're under the umbrella that is HarperCollins.
Oh,
So
yeah,
like,
okay.
so I'm like, I'm kind of like a part of that a little bit, but like their
That's neat.
online publishing house, and so that's really cool. So I'm writing a book for them that is due in literally a couple weeks into September 30th, and I have written, you'll understand, a little over 20,000 words in a week. I tried to tell my mom, like, I need you to understand the extent of how much my butt is numb and how, like that, the amount of words that I've written, it is kind of
Mm-hmm.
crazy. She's like, oh, I'm like, people say 30,000 words in a month is a lot. So I wrote 20,000 in a week. And she's like,
Yeah,
oh.
yeah, because
And I'm
if you
like,
think about it,
yeah,
if you wrote another 20,000, you have a novel. That is the size 40,000 and up is
yeah,
what it takes to be a novel. So you wrote half a book in a week.
I sure did. So, but I can share a little bit. So it is a retelling. Uh, it is a very popular story that everybody knows, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also satire. It is a
Ah,
movie that is a satire of fairy tales. If you have an idea in your head, don't say it. Keep it in the mind. When I kind of talk
yeah.
about it, people are like, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. Like, I know it sounds amazing. So, the FMC is a black cat energy. The MMC is a morally gray golden retriever, and he has golden retriever energy with ASPD, which is antisocial personality disorder.
Mm-hmm.
So he is unapologetically obsessed with her, will for her, and also doesn't care that she's not really interested at first. He's like, I'll love you, and I'll let you know for the both of us. Like, it's fine. I just want you. Like, I don't
Yeah.
care. He'll do anything to be around her. Again, he doesn't understand like social cues, and he doesn't understand that he's not allowed to do certain things, uh, like interfering in her found family. I don't want to give away too much, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
something,
know. It's
yeah.
all on the hush hush right now.
But just to give you an idea, they're meet cute. She's getting at about to, and he comes to save the day. And so she's like coming out of like back into consciousness, and he's like, "Hey, sorry I'm late." And she's like, "Who are you?" Like, I don't know. He's like, "Yeah, but I know you."
Oh,
You know, and she's like,
okay.
"What is happening? I'm literally fighting for my life right now, and you're coming in with this energy. Like, this is crazy." So that is that book, and those are kind of like the biggest projects I have. Do you watch Vampire Diaries? Just side note.
I actually recently watched the show, so yes, I know it.
So we know Klaus and Caroline.
Mm-hmm.
So my next big project that I would like to write is going to be a Caroline, uh, like end game story that I want to
Ah.
be like a big universe, but bring in like mafia vibes and like a whole retelling with their
Mm-hmm.
energy. And I love it. The ideas, I'm so excited to get there. And I actually have, Teddy Hamilton, already lined up to do the audiobook for that. So now I just got to
Dude.
save up money. I'm like,
Yes.
oh,
Yeah, that's the thing is like audiobooks are typically not cheap. And I know that because I have three series and they're all being converted right now. So I know how that feels. But yeah, getting that right narrator for the right project is a make or break thing. So that's
it
really
is.
nice that you have that kind of more or less lined up. It's just get it to that point, and then of course, yeah, the fundraising part of those things.
I'm all GoFundMe, please. Just send me money. Thank you. I'll take
So,
it. I'm not gonna complain. I will.
well, actually, look, this is a great segue. So, how have you been able to? What approaches have you been utilizing to find readers? Because your first book is just shy of a year. So what have you been doing? What has worked for you to connect with the readership you're trying to get?
That is a great question. At first, at first, because social media is exhausting, and I don't really
Yes, it
have
is.
my voice in the social media realm, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm finding myself in like book talk. I'm trying to find what works, and I see like what works for other people. I'm like, oh, that's not working for me. This is fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can't do, not that I can't do certain things, but for whatever reason, things just click on certain accounts.
Yeah.
And like for example, I have a travel account that's, pretty popular. People like it because I talk about adult locations and things.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a type of content that I make that is very easy breezy.
Mm-hmm.
Don't got to put much work into it. But coming on Book Talk, I'm like, I think a little more thought has to go into this. It's kind of crazy, but so trying to be better with social media, at first it's like I'm gonna post all the time, but like then you're just tired and it's just so I kind of let that kind of go. So I was weird and I started with book signings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I need to count, but I think I've done probably like 10 book signings this year.
Wow.
Yeah, so crazy. Most of those, I'm in like the Sacramento, California area. So, uh, I always call my home Barnes& and Noble, the Barnes& and Noble that I go to the most, and the ones who are the one who has really, supported me and like have
Mm-hmm.
my books and I'm good, like when I'm doing book signings, they'll come put their head on my shoulder, like, hey, how you doing? Do you need a drink? I'm obsessed with those girls and and guys. There's guys there too, but the girls
Mm-hmm.
are my number ones. Um I so book signings has some just being in front of people. Podcasts
Yes.
have been really nice, but it's kind of hard when it's not like a give and take. I can't really talk to, of course, like
Mm-hmm.
readers, in this situation. So I guess so definitely book signings, podcasts. I'm trying to be better with lives in general. But mine, I'm like, what do I do? I don't know what to do. I guess just sit there
Yeah.
and write with me. Just go on live, at least an hour. Um, Trying to be better with posting, even about anything. Like today, I posted a silly video about me. I'm like, this is me posting as an influencer, not really. Oh, look at this bee. Maybe to like have people get a little bit more energy and see a
Yeah.
little bit of who I am and not really stealing ideas, but getting inspiration from other people. Like I don't have to do things
Mm-hmm.
from scratch, and that is okay. Everyone's doing pretty much the same stuff. You just kind of make it your own a little bit. So a little bit of social media, podcast. Oh, and the biggest one, I was just on TV. I think
Woo!
2 Thursdays ago, I think it was now. Kind of
That's really
crazy.
neat. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. My local news. So, I had got like a 3-minute segment on there and that was wild. So I told my mom, like, I can't say nothing bad. No cuss
I was
words,
like, how do you
please.
talk
I'm like,
about
please,
like
Lord.
I feel like you would have to prep a whole separate different kind of script of like your pitch of your book to make it TV appropriate.
Yeah, I told him, I'm like, okay, don't say Disney retellings because I don't want to get, I don't want them to be like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
let's really
Yes.
look into this girl's stuff. It is Beauty and the Beast retelling, but everyone says, oh, I wrote a Beauty and the Beast retelling. That's just something you say.
Yeah.
But I don't think, I don't want anyone to think like, oh, I copied them. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
inspiration, definitely. And when you read
Yeah.
it, you're like, oh, yeah, that's nothing like the original story.
Yeah.
Um, so I told him, make sure you say fairy tale retellings. And I want to make
Mm-hmm.
sure people know that. Because a lot of people are like, oh, is this going to be in a school one day? I'm like, maybe university, but definitely not high school and under.
Yeah. No,
That'd be
no.
crazy. Um,
Yes, no.
yeah, so
It's
I'm like spicy 18 plus. Ooh.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say for live events, that's one of those great things to do, and it's something that I've been trying to get involved with more and more. But I am a less is more person when it comes to like time dedication because I've been doing a lot of conventions that are those multi-day events. So that takes up your weekend or even a long, weekend, and then to do that back to back is something that I'm like, I'm not ready to do that. I know authors who do that. Kudos to you. I'm not ready to do that level of stuff, but there is something special about going in front of a person and being there and talking face to face about your books and being able to sign right there. And it has this kind of level of energy that it's hard to recreate virtually in any kind of way. So I do like being able to go to live events and do signings and things like that. So I'm glad you're already doing that right now, because there are a lot of authors that hesitate for that for a while, but I do think there is something very nice about getting in front of people in a face-to-face level. I mean, I really do enjoy lives too, especially when I get to talk to someone else, because there is a little bit of that awkwardness when you're doing a live streaming event, and you're just talking to the void, your own face essentially, and you're like, is anybody listening? What do I say next? And some days you'll have very chatty people, and other days it's kind of crickets, and you're like, I just feel like I'm rambling about the last three things for. So, but yeah, face-to-face interactions are just a different level, so that's pretty neat.
I'm actually excited because I signed up to, and of course they could be like, no, we don't want you. But Books, Crowns, and Gowns.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they literally just had theirs like last weekend, or it's like right in the time, like right now, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
going on. And I signed up to do it for next year in San Diego. So I'm like, I gotta make some money so I can, buy some books to take there and some merchandise. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's like a whole thing. 'Cause I have some really cool like hats. So I have a girl who, because I'm also a photographer, I do a lot of different things. But I'm a photographer, and so I take her photos and she draws for me. So all of
Oh,
like
I
my
love that.
stickers and
That's cool.
everything is made by her. And so I have one that says "Good Girl," and it's like an infinity sign with a this situation, and
Mm-hmm.
it says "Good Girl." And so I put on a hat and I put on a shirt. And I'm like, where are my dark romance girlies at? Because we are
Yep.
good girls. They're gonna
Yes.
eat that up.
Yeah. And see, that's one of those things. Actually, this is a great question. Is if you do you have like do you sell directly your books? I mean, obviously you go to book signings and stuff like that, but like, do you have like a shop? Some people have like TikTok shops or website shops, because if you have merchandise, that's another thing you could be selling on one of your shops. So, do you sell directly with people?
I haven't gotten into the whole selling directly yet. I don't have the space to hold
Yeah.
inventory,
Yes.
and it's
It
not
fills
like I don't
up.
have the time. It fills
Mhm.
up. I'm not saying again I don't have the time to do it. I think what I will probably start with, just to kind of get into the how to do it all, like getting the orders, sending like how, because I feel like I need to do an order first to kind of like
Mhm.
practice to make sure everything's kind of like easy breezy and it kind of flows. Maybe start with like limited edition, like these covers. I have like 25 of these that I
Those
could
are nice.
sell, and just start with those and just say,
Mhm.
hey, if you purchase, you get sticker, and then you'll get like maybe free ebook. Just maybe kind of
Yeah.
start with that. But currently it's just on Amazon or on the Zon, Barnes Noble, and recently I just found out Walmart.com, which is
Yeah.
crazy.
Do
Now it's gonna,
you?
I don't know how to get them in stores. I got to get them inside the store. So
Yeah.
slowly but surely.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, that's the thing, is like if you're self-publishing, like I'm purely self-published at the moment, and one of those things is like getting physically in the stores, even if you have it on something like Ingram Spark or another one of these kind of distribution platforms for indie authors, to get them physically in stores, people have to request. So it's one of those, education is like, hey, if you want, to see my books on your local Barnes and Noble, you just have to go in there and request it. It should be in the
Yep.
system to get it in, because
Yep.
that's just the hard thing, is being that's one of those big differences of an independently published author versus like one of the big trad authors, is because they physically get it, in all the stores. It feels like right off the bat. For us, we have a lot more legwork we have to do in order to do that.
Yes. It's exhausting. I'm like, break it easy, please. Thank you.
And let me also ask, because you mentioned where your books can be found, but what formats? Because you said, you have an audiobook coming out, it's in pre-order right now, but ebook, paperback, hardcover, what are your other formats?
Okay, real quick though, I don't know how like roses work, but we just got blasted
Yes.
with it. So thank you. I don't know how any of that is, but thank you whoever did that. Blaster Books. That was, I think. I don't know.
Hmm.
That was really nice. But it's can you repeat that one more time? I got so distracted by
Oh
all
yeah,
the
yeah, just
roses.
all the roses being
Yeah.
punctured with roses, which works well for the theme of your first book, you know.
Yes, it does. And I'll
But
keep it coming, people. Keep it coming.
no, I was asking like, what are your other formats? You have the audiobook coming. Obviously, you have the paperback I saw. Do you have a hardcover and or ebook as well?
Yeah, so the hardback is currently on the Zon, and the ebook it was on KU, but I took it
Mhm.
off because I wanted because of the pre-order. So with the audiobook, it is currently on pre-order on my website. Uh,
Mm.
and I'm offering a lot of incentives for people to go and pre-order. Um, and things, everything includes like free. Again, that's why I took it off of KU so that I could add it as a free incentive for people to go do that. Bonus chapter and one of the male's point of view because Her Dark Promise is single point of view and
Mhm.
the female point of view only. So his point of view, or one of the boys' point of views, then we have like thank you, then we have limited edition art that I'm going to be actually mailing to people because I it is I think one, maybe two of them is going to be you will not be able to buy it. You have to
Mhm.
get it as a gift from me. So it's a little more special.
Yeah.
Uh, and so there's a lot of goodies within this like pre-order incentive package. I'm like, please give me your monies, please. I swear it's good. So the pre-order currently is on my website, authorbriarose.com, which luckily I have uh, branded myself really well with the name because that author Bria Rose is everywhere. It's everything. Author Bria Rose, TikTok, Instagram, my
Mhm.
Gmail, my website, all of it. So that's where you can go there, and it's literally homepage. The first button is right there for the pre-order, and that's going to take you to my shop, and so you can, do all that. But hardback, ebook, paperback is on the Zon, Barnes& Noble. Well, I
Yep.
don't know if
Okay.
Barnes& Noble has the hardback, but yeah, and Her Dark Promise has everything.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. It's like it gets also complicated because certain platforms may offer certain ones, not necessarily all of them. And again, I definitely understand. I right now sell my physical copies, and actually one of the reasons why I took my ebooks and most of my audiobooks off of the exclusive rights through Zons because I wanted to sell them directly on my website, distribute them as well as an option. But I have yet to get my physical copies onto something like Ingram Spark so they can get them a little more widely available in the physical sense. But I've been looking into either Ingram Spark. There are a couple other ones. How's your experience working with that company to get your books in, like you said, Barnes and Noble? I don't know if you're using Ingram Spark, but like how have you gotten your books onto the Barnes and Noble platform?
I use Ingram Sparks, and I just kind of set it and left it. And so when someone said it's on Walmart.com, I'm like, how?
Yep.
How is that there? That's crazy. I don't know how it works. I just, again, I set it up and I did it to the best of my ability where people are like, you should do this. I'm like, I guess we're gonna do that.
Yeah.
And that's how it's like in all of their systems. But I don't exactly know the ins and outs of exactly
That's
how it
fine.
works. But that is what I decided to go with. It was Ingram.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that's the one that I know people have a love hate relationship with that platform for various different reasons,
Mhm.
but it is one of those, it's hard to compete against. It's one of the best ones for distribution, and the number of
Mhm.
places that it can push your physical or even ebooks out, is a large number. So if you've never done it, you should Google your name of your book and see what platforms pop up on Google because that's sometimes interesting for me when I'm like, hey, I wonder where my ebooks are being distributed to and seeing what pops up. It is interesting because I go through Draft to Digital. Well, I go through their version, so it's Voices by iAudio now. But yeah, it's just one of those things that sometimes I just Google and just see what pops up and where it's being sent to. So you never know. It's,
I have my computer next to me.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's and periodically
Yeah.
check because things can pop up and change all the time. So
Well, oh, what's a Pango Books?
Pango Books, Pango Books.
Apparently, Pango Books, apparently it's for Dark Promise, probably it's not edition signed. Apparently that's going for $22. Eagle Harbor Books. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna look into that later. That's kind of I sometimes I do look at myself. I think someone's I think someone's selling my book for $22 on a website. Well, that's like cool,
Well,
I
that
guess.
means they think, that's the thing
Make
is,
your
like,
money,
I guess it's
girl.
one level of popularity when you get to the point that people want to sell your books for maybe even more than you're selling them. And I don't
Make
know
that
how I
money.
feel about that yet. I don't know if I've gotten that stage. I really haven't looked into that much, but like, it's one of those things is like, I guess that's a good thing, that people think your books are in that demand. And if your books are in that demand, that's great.
Do you think, I always tell people because I try to be jokey. I tell my mom, like, I really use humor to, I don't know, but I use humor a lot. So when I'm at book signings, I always tell people, I'm like, okay, like, do you want this signed or not? And they're like, signed, please. I'm like, you're right. Signature now, sell later when I make it famous. And they're like, no, I would never. I'm like, no, you make that bad, girl. Make that money at my permission. Sell it.
Hmm. Hmm.
I just try to get like a little bit of laughs and because sometimes I'm like, listen, you got a signed book, and when I do become famous, it's gonna be probably worth at least $100. Get that money. Get your
That first
money.
edition, print, run, and hand signed
100%.
by the author. And yep,
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 I get
yep,
that.
yep. I feel it.
Use that power of being an author. So that's always fun. Okay, let me also ask because the hour is starting to pick by, and I know I asked one of my regular questions. I usually have a set number of questions I try to make sure I inquire about every one of these lives, because if this platform's nice, usually it is, sometimes it goes a little wonky, I'll repurpose
Mhm.
this live stream on my YouTube channel and put all your links below for people to continue to hopefully find and follow you and get your stuff. Since we've already talked about where your books are sold and in what formats, one of the other questions I have is, outside of Book Talk, what other platforms do you have? You mentioned you have a website. Do you have a newsletter, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I have a newsletter and you can sign up for that on my website. So all the information you need will be on my website, including, my social medias and how to contact me, updates on, my next projects, when I'm able to share them.
Your multiple
But
projects.
so many projects, so little time. There's only so much time. But yeah, no, so that's basically go to my website. I do have a newsletter and I do want to start doing more in my newsletter because I know I'm not the best at my newsletter. But I don't want to bug people, I don't want to bother people. I'm like, I'll email again when I got something to say.
Hey, you know what? One of the things, and someone actually was using this as an example for creating a newsletter-based community at one of these author conferences, and I was like, I'm going to do this. And I've been telling everybody about it because it's a brilliant thing. Depending on your platform, and I see your question, I'll get to that in a moment. Depending on your platform, I use MailerLite, and one of the new things they released is this. They have polls and questionnaire aspects that you can kind of embed. And so how I'm using that is I'm letting my readership write a group story. So every month I kind of feed them a couple of sentences and then ask a question, and then they vote on, which one they like, and that will be plugged into the story, and it helps move the story along. So depending on your readership, you could probably get some pretty spicy stories out of it. But it builds this kind of communal engagement, and it's a lot of fun. It's a co-writing through the newsletter.
That is really cool. I'm definitely gonna have to like look into that. I might have to follow your journey along, or maybe you could send me kind of like, one of your sequences of like how to start that, because that is so interesting.
Yeah, there's like so many little things people can do now to like utilize and
Engage.
build that community and to keep the
Yeah.
engagement, because writing takes a long time. And I want all the readers to always be ready and wanting for more, but there's always another author putting out another book, and I also don't want to be forgotten. So it's always kind of hard for authors trying to be like, don't forget me in between. I'm still here. Thank you. Anywho, I have a question, and I know this one's geared a little bit more to you because this one pops up a lot of my lives. Thank you for this. It's a nice one. What is your favorite aspect of world building when you write your stories?
I love that. So I actually do world building after I write my first draft. Uh, Now, mind you, I am fairly new to writing books, and I'm just kind of getting into my groove of like what kind of author am I going to be? What kind of writer am I going to
Mm-hmm.
be? Uh, and with the book for the One More Chapter company, I'm like, you know what? I need to see where I can fit things. How's the story gonna
Mm-hmm.
flow? Especially it took 2 years for me to write Her Dark Promise, and I needed this book in 5 months. So those are two completely different timelines.
Mm-hmm.
And, working with a company where I'm like, I'm not sure if they're going to like some of these ideas because she's like, here's the idea, run with it. I'm like, but are you gonna like it? Like, I love Her Dark Promise, so I guess we'll see. I'm like, oh gosh, okay,
It's so much
so
stress.
it is a lot of stress, but it's so much fun because I sent her some chapters. She's like, I love this. So I'm like, okay, yay. So we're on the right track. I love this. Um, but I'm like, you know what? I don't want to focus on the building looks like this. I'm like, no,
Mm-hmm.
let's kind of get to the nitty gritty. Let's see what the story's about. Let's kind of flesh out some characters and flesh out at least the scenes. At least I can have because you can't edit a blank page.
That's true.
So I can always take stuff out. So I wrote the rough draft and now I'm kind of going back through and adding in certain parts
Mm-hmm.
that I'm like, okay. But my favorite aspect of world building is just bringing you into the environment and like painting this picture that's in my head, like
Yes.
allowing you guys a glimpse into my brain for a second, or however long the book is.
Mm-hmm.
It's really because I didn't understand exactly what world building was when I first entered. I'm like, people keep saying like blah blah blah.
Yeah, all
People
these
keep
terms that.
saying that world building is so important, and I spend years just on the world building. I'm like, okay, but what is it? To
Mm-hmm.
me, world building is what does the landscape look like? Is there the magic system? What is the magic system? What
Mm-hmm.
is everything? So it's everything that's I feel like not like dialogue and things like that, like character
Yeah.
development. I think world building is just to me is like all those other really important pieces. Like if they're going from a kingdom to the woods, well, what does that look like? What is that? Is
Mm-hmm.
the ground made of dirt? Is it
Do they
stone? Is
have
it
horses?
pavement?
Oh, they
Do they?
walk.
Exactly. If this is medieval times, they're not going to have, cars. So, it's really quite
Mm-hmm.
interesting. The also world building of like food. You can't just say, oh, we had burgers and French fries. No, you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
You probably had like mutton and potato soup, depending on the region of like whatever place it is. And now this is, the fairy tale retelling. So Her Dark Promise, somewhere in this big darn book, I got to add the gray stuff. It's delicious. Don't blame me after dishes, like that scene. So cheese souffle, done all enfant pudding, en flambe or something. So all
Mm-hmm.
of those I got to kind of like put in there. So if you read it, you're like, oh, that's from the Be Our Guest song, so
Yeah.
kind of just like also researched a lot of research and I chat GPT a lot. Give me dragon names, give me cool, unique names for this,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of being immersed in this really cool thing
Yeah, and when it comes to
world.
like food and fiction and food, especially in like fantasy, so that's my kind of area of the world, there's so much you can do with that as an author. I've seen a lot of authors, and I've utilized this for one of my series where come up with like riffs off recipes, and then be able to distribute them. So you can be like, you can eat the flambe that my version of Belle. What was her name? What your
Galatia.
Yes. So, she was able to eat, et cetera, so on. And so it's just fun little ways, again, to enrich your readership of your story. And so But yeah, there's so many things when it comes to world building to consider, and depending on the author and the type of story you're writing, certain world building can take people years and years to develop. Others don't really matter as much as you would think, because depending on how you tell the story, you can write a fantastic story theoretically and keep your character in a box. you know,
Yes.
it can happen, and so you don't really need this world where you have multiple continents and again these vast magic systems if that's not what your story needs. I have varying levels of world building, leaning a little bit more on the intricate side, but I also don't necessarily already have every little detail in place before I start writing. Some of that just kind of comes along that writing process, so it's fun. It's part of the journey.
It's chaotic, but I'm chaotic, so it
it,
is what it is at this point.
Definitely, absolutely, 100%. I love that. But yeah, so when you started your first book, um, did you write it with like one point of view, or do they have multiple POVs? Because I know you have the two brothers, and like, is it just like how did you choose whatever you chose?
I went back and forth, honestly, like with my editor. I'm like, I think, we could do one multiple point of view. And I do have some chapters written in the boys' point of view of like scenes that just weren't used. Because in my book, there is, we have Calathea, who is our beast character, our main female character.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Amelia, who's like the servant girl. Then we have Callum, Bastian, and Soren, and those are her three boys. So she got three boys. There's two girls, and of course there's some like other like side characters, but that's like my main cast, um, along with Cersei. But you can find about Cersei if you read the book. So a whole other thing. But it's oh my God, I'm gonna be honest. I just blinked out of your question. I'm so
It's
sorry.
okay. It's okay. At least for me, like I'm on the East Coast time, like it's getting later and like the brain fizzle after a long day. It's a thing. It really is. But yeah, I was just wondering if like you were writing your book where
Oh,
it's
point of
only
views.
from your beast Calethea's point of view,
Yes.
or if different chapters are told by different people. Yeah.
Hilarious. Thank you so much for bringing me back.
It's
It
okay.
is
I
only
do anything. It's fine.
okay, thank you. It's only in Calethea's point of view. I did for a minute think maybe, but I'm like, it's actually her story about redemption. I think it would retract from the story if we did multiple points of view. So
Mhm.
it is just in hers. But again, if you pre-order the book and you buy it on my website, then you will get Callum's point of view. My sweet baby,
Nice.
my little baby bird.
I love that. I love that. And I did
Yeah.
see the comment pop up a little earlier talking about referring back to world building. There are many aspects of world building others overlook and less built up genres than sci-fi fantasy. Which is, yeah, I was going to say it. There are certain genres that need a lot more. There's certain genres less. If you think of things like, I think I talked about in the last live, urban fantasy, who I was talking with, because it's set in predominantly our world, there's less things you're trying to figure out versus like plopping your characters in a totally different world where anything could theoretically happen until you set the rules. So world building is fun, but yeah, no, with my type of writing, all my book series at this moment, that's going to change, have been through my main female protagonist's eyes. And you just follow her and her story, whichever her version. I have three series, three main characters. But yeah, but yeah, you follow the story through their eyes versus anybody else. Though I am going to try to start branching out and have different chapters in different books being told by a larger cast of people. So it'll be interesting. See how that goes.
I currently wrote for the book that is with one more chapter. That one is multiple point of view, but it's mainly uh, the female's point of view with the
Yeah, what was
MMC
that?
like sprinkled every few chapters.
Oh yeah, yeah, I love that. And oh, let me also ask you, as well as everybody who's listening in, since we're kind of rounding up the end of the hour, this is that perfect time that if you have any question, Bria, that you wanted to ask, this is that time to ask. If you had any topic you wanted to cover that we haven't gotten covered yet, this is that perfect time. And again, anybody else who's listening, this is that chance to ask or, comment.
Um, No, that is such a good question. Well, I'll put it back on me, my goodness. Let's see. I don't really have anything specific
That's fine.
questions. I think we covered a lot of really awesome topics, and just in general, just being able to share,
Mm-hmm.
my craft and putting my, my face and out there for more people to be like, oh, I recognize her. I know
Yeah.
that face. I know that girl. So that's why I'm doing all these podcasts, and not just for recognition, but for people when they see my books, when they hear my voice, when they see my face,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, oh, that's this person. I want to get to the Sarah J. Maas level. I want to get to, maybe not that. That's kind of crazy. That's a whole different
That is
ball
definitely
game.
a top tier level.
Definitely, definitely different to your level. But I want to make this
Mm-hmm.
into a career, and I'm really hoping that really ends up working out. Who knows at the end of the day? But I do, of course, need more recognition. So I'm just really honored for all these opportunities that I've been given to try and help all of that. So it's really everyone's kind of like just taking a chance on me, and I'm just really grateful again for the opportunities and for people to want to hear what I have to say, the advice I have to give. Normally I kind of end um, I always give kind of like a little piece of advice. So instead of a question, could I give like a little piece of
Oh
advice?
yeah. Oh, definitely.
Um, my biggest thing is you don't, because I always kind of give different advices because I'm like, oh, there's so much in my brain, but I'll just give
Mm-hmm.
one. Um, that really seems to kind of be like an aha moment for another newer writer. I'm like, he's like, I sit down and I just don't know what to write. I'm like, okay, well, just write a chapter that it excites you. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you don't have to write in chronological order
Girl.
at all. Like you write the way that I'm a puzzle writer. I'm coming up with these names myself, but I,
I
I
love it.
write, I'm a puzzle writer where I write different scenes and then I'm like, okay, we got this scene and this scene. I want this one to go before this one. Now, how do we get there? What's the bridge? We got to make it interesting. And he's like,
Mhm.
whoa. I'm like, yeah, perfectly fine. Like it's all good. So that's probably one of my biggest pieces of advice is don't just because everyone says you need to write chronologically or even have an outline, figure it out on the way. I mean, it's more chaotic, but maybe that's just the type of writer you are. Maybe you're just chaotic. Join the rest of us.
And now I feel like you need a shirt that says "I'm a puzzle writer" and have like different puzzle pieces, and they'll be like plot and character and love scene, and there you
I
go.
love that. I'm literally gonna right after this, I'm gonna text my
No, do
artist.
it.
I'm like, girl, make this for me immediately. Thank you.
Please. I love bookish shirts. Can't you tell? I have my one of my many book dragons. But like, I love anytime I see a
Yeah.
cool book shirt. I'm like, yes, yes. So
Yeah.
do it, and that makes especially if that's that term that you coined more or less. You're a puzzle writer, so
I'm a puzzle
be
writer. I
proud.
coined it. Coined something. I
Yay!
love that.
Now, let me also ask one more thing before we wrap up, and that this would be like, do you have any special dates on the horizon, like upcoming release dates or signings that you want to mention for people to be aware of?
So the biggest two are for the audiobook. We have the audiobook pre-order ends on October 1st, and then it goes live October 3rd.
Woo!
But mistakes were made, and I think the audiobook on Audible is going to come out sooner. So I didn't realize I couldn't pick a date. So it just comes
Yeah,
out when it comes out. I'm like, oh, but joke's on me. This is fun. I love this. This is fun for me. But yeah, no, so those are the two main dates.
yeah. No, that is one annoying thing when it comes to Audible, and I mean, I use them exclusively for a while, and two of my series I have moved off, so I can. They're still on Audible, but they're not exclusive to them anymore. But other platforms do let you set a date, so that is nice. So it's like I can't really celebrate, on the Zon when it's going to drop on Audible because it is what is it like between now and 14 days or something like
Yep.
ridiculous, like the time frame. You're like, okay, thanks, yeah, okay, sure. How am I supposed to plan for that? On the other hand, a lot of the other platforms are far more user friendly. They're like, or at least author friendly.
Mm.
They're like, yes, you can set the date of release. I'm like, thank you. I
Thank you so
appreciate it.
much.
And you
You're so
actually did
nice.
it correctly.
You're so kind. Facts. Facts, 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 facts.
Yep. Well, like I said, thank you for hanging out with me this hour. It's been lovely talking with you and getting to know a little bit more about your fairy tale, your dark romantic fairy tale retelling, and your upcoming works, plural, and the fact that you've already had this really cool special edition release of your first book. It's not even been out a year. I mean, my goodness, like I released my first book and didn't know I was supposed to market it and just spent like almost 2 years doing nothing with it. So you are far, 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 far better off where you are in less than 1 year than I was. So kudos.
Thank you for saying that because I'm like, I feel like I'm so behind but so advanced, but no one knows me, but a lot of people know me. It's a really weird space to be in.
Yeah, no, everybody's journey is very different. And I'm the person who proudly shouts, I've done everything wrong the first time. But I shouted out, so hopefully not everybody will do the same mistakes. At least not as many. We all want to get to our dream goal. Maybe that is your Sarah J. Maas level sooner than later.
Yeah, give me a movie. I'm so ready to make a movie, Emily. If there's any movie people out there, let's go. I'm so ready. I'm all passion flicks. Hello.
There you go. I love that. But like I said, it's been lovely talking with you. It is that 8 o'clock hour, which means for me, it's time to let my dogs out of their little crates so they can stretch their paws and do their little walks. But if you ever want to do one of these little chats again, let me know. I plan them in advance. But I try to do them about weekly, so I would love to be able to talk with you in the future, especially after you release your audiobook or even your next couple projects. You know.
Yeah, I love that. I will definitely be reaching back out. Thank you so much for having me.
Fantastic. And have a lovely rest of your evening. And thank you for
You
everybody
too.
who stopped in and hung out with us. Bye.